The United States government has at its disposal some awesome technologies that you couldn't have dreamed of 10 years ago that, in my opinion, are basically making our Constitution null and void. They're bypassing all constitutional protections, and there's really not a lot we can do about it, to be honest with you. It was revealed several years ago that the National Security Agency was actually illegally listening in on Americans' phone calls and emails. That should have been a wake-up call, but it wasn't really. Especially since 9/11, Americans have gotten very accustomed to being watched. When you go to the store, when you go to the ATM machine, when you're walking along the street, cameras are following you everywhere. Satellites are hovering over your head. They can pick up your license plate number. So we've grown very accustomed to the fact that we're being watched. In fact, I think that's one of the great dangers. We're so accustomed to it that we forget that we're being watched and that the watching that's going on is becoming all pervasive. We used to believe in America that privacy was king. But now many Americans are willing to throw away the fact that privacy is king and that we have as human beings. And that's what makes us human. We have that right to be alone somewhere and do what we want to do. And I'm not talking about illegal things, but to do things that people do in private. That is evaporating. Basically because we've been sold a bill of goods that we want to get rid of all the terrorists that might be lurking around in America, when, by the way, that's the proverbial needle in the haystack. According to all estimates from experts I've talked to, there could not be a lot of terrorists in America. So what happens is, with all this technology, which is now burgeoned into a $1 trillion business, surpassing even the movie industry, by private corporations who have wedded with the federal government, we've thrown the baby away with the bathwater, and we're submitting to all kinds of surveillance because we might catch a terrorist. What this says to us is that the burden of proof the government has always had to be able to watch us is being totally turned on its head and reversed. It used to be that we were innocent until we were proven guilty, but now we are all suspects, which means that we're all guilty until we prove ourselves innocent. Again, we're being watched at every step of the way. Add to this the fact that fusion centers, so-called fusion centers, have been set up all over the country, regional and state fusion centers, which basically are large computer data networks, and reporting services where people are now watched even on a local basis. Now we're moving very slowly into control of the internet by the government. The NSA, the National Security Agency, is now putting the final stamp of approval on a system called Acquaint, a large computer system that will actually be able to read all emails, phone calls, every internet message you've ever sent, collect it in a national database, international database, and know everything about you. And what this Acquaint system is attempting to do is to actually predict how you think. I'm talking about American citizens, not terrorists, how everybody thinks to maybe cut you off before you commit a crime or say the wrong word if it happens to be hate speech. Some people working for the NSA have already quit over this program, saying that it's immoral. The government should not have this kind of power to do this to people, period. There have been a lot of warnings from different people and experts, even in the intelligence community, saying some bad things are coming down. Congress has not listened. They haven't heeded the warnings. Working its way through Congress now is the Cybersecurity Act of 2009, which will actually give the President of the United States, if he believes you're a suspect or he doesn't like your website, it's awesome power. They can actually shut down your website or the total internet, which I don't think they'll do. They'll shut down troublemakers and so-called extremists. Remember, there was a memorandum that went out of the Department of Homeland Security not too long ago that said people who basically oppose the administration on even economic policies could be labeled extremists. This act also sets up a nefarious cybersecurity czar who will be watching over our internet and the things we do, remember, connected to the so-called Acquaint system from the NSA, which will, again, have read everything you've ever sent in terms of emails or phone calls you've had on your cell phone. Essentially, technology has become autonomous. It's basically operating on its own. The technology that we develop today, especially worldwide, is so awesome that it's outstripped the ability of human beings to control it. What can we do? Get educated on these issues. Teach them to your children. Watch the surveillance cameras. Be conscious of the surveillance that's going on around you. Protest when you see the government overstepping its bounds, or folks, we're going to slide quickly into a totalitarian state.